Early morning, about this time of year, about 3 years ago, I was in the house. I looked out. I saw something walking up the side of the road towards the house. When I saw it out the back window, I noticed its gait was a little different. Something or somebody had seen before. So I switched, came up to the closer window, and looked out on the road and watched the thing walk past the house, past my mailbox. Its gait was a little bouncy. It wasn't a normal human gait. And I noticed its head is not really human either. It's kind of a doggish head with a short snout kind of look to it. Anyway, after I saw it walk past the mailbox, which I'm going to say it was somewhere around 6 foot or a little taller, based on how tall it looked when it's past the mailbox. At that point, I was in the house, in the middle of 20 feet from the window. I went directly to the door. I went out the door. I walked down the side of the house to the edge of the sidewalk, to about the area I'm standing now, and I looked at the intersection, and I looked at the road across from me. I looked to the road to the right. I looked to the road to the left, and it wasn't anywhere. So I was, I thought to myself, where did this thing go? So then I walked out onto the road, and I stood in front of the fence here at the intersection. Looked down the road again, up the road, and across the road. I still couldn't see it. And then I looked catty corner into the open field over there, and what had been walking on 2 legs is now walking away from me on 4 legs. And when I looked at it, it was probably 100 feet from me at the most, and it stopped, turned around, stared right at me. It definitely had like a snout looking face, ears, eyes were dark, proportionate to the head, and then it just turned, and we just stared at one another for 10 seconds or so. And then it didn't make a sound, didn't snarl, didn't threaten me in any way. We stared at one another. And then it just turned slowly away from me and continued walking away through the field and disappeared.
Can you describe the size of the snout?
It looked like a dog kind of looking snout, but it wasn't long like normal dogs. It was like, and it wasn't really short like a pug either. It was shorter than like a collie snout, but it was much bigger than like a pug would look. So it did have a snout, but it wasn't a long snout. It was short.
What did the actual nose look like?
Just like a regular old nose on
more like a dog than a human.
Like a dog, except it wasn't. Dogs kind of like taper to more of a point. This thing was a little broader. It wasn't, because it was shorter. It didn't really like taper down. It was more like it was broad, and then it just kind of like cut off. It like squared off at the end.
And can you describe the ears?
On the side of the head, a little pointy, not floppy, not huge, but definitely kind of like more of a pointy look than a floppy look.
Can you describe, again, when it was walking out here, when you first saw it, can you describe again the way it was walking and what it was?
I noticed the lower part of the leg had like a bend in it towards the rear of the animal or whatever it was. And its gait wasn't a human gait. It was more of a kind of like a springy, but kind of like it wasn't heel to toe. It was more like heel and then a drop and then it raised itself back up.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely wasn't a human gait.
And you say you're a chiropractor?
Yeah, I'm a chiropractor.
So you know anatomy and so forth?
Yeah, I know anatomy. I know a little bit about gaits.
Yeah.
But, I'm not a anthropologist or a zoologist, but, I know that this was, not typical of a human gait. It was different.
And it was definitely on two legs?
It was definitely on two legs coming up the road. And like I said, I watched it go by, and then I was like, what is that, or who is that, or So I came out of the house to get a better look. And by the time I got out of the house, it wasn't on the road anymore. It had gone diagonally across the street away from the house into the cut cornfield. And at that point in time, instead of being on two legs, now it was on four legs and was walking away from me. Mm-hmm.